As efforts to end the SAA strike continue, the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan has reiterated that the embattled airline has no money to meet the wage demands. Gordhan was briefing Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises on SAA as well as Eskom. Our reporter Athi Mtongana covered and attended the briefing and joins us live now from Cape Town. A very good afternoon to you, Athi. While watching the briefing, which we did broadcast live, at least certain segments of those, we did hear the Public Enterprises Minister focusing on some of the key issues, specifically regarding Eskom. He did touch on the unbundling of Eskom. He did speak as well about the new generation technologies. Won't you give us an overall summary of what it is that he touched on this afternoon?
A very good afternoon to you, Tammy. Well, we can't really give the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, all the credit for today's briefing before the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises, because most of it really was done by the acting DDG, Makololo, who went into that Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises to brief them, of course, about the unbundling of Eskom, splitting it into three entities, as you may know: generation, transmission, and, of course, the distribution of energy in South Africa. And they did mention, of course, that they will try to set up the transmission entity separately from the rest of the other entities. And of course, they mentioned the debt that faces Eskom and how it poses a huge risk to South Africa's fiscal. And they obviously touched on the issue around coal and how they will continue to use coal. I'll just read out some of the conclusions that were made by the acting DDG, saying that coal will fuel some of the plants until the span of their lifetime, and then we'll see the IRP now starting to kick in and increase the share of alternative energy resources in the country. So those are some of the sentiments that were shared, and were also echoed by the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, who appeared before the committee shortly after his cabinet meeting. So he basically just answered some of the few questions that the members of the Portfolio Committee had, and he also actually touched on SAA. That was separate to what he came there for. He actually went there to brief them exactly on Eskom and what plans they have for Eskom, and the special paper that he tabled about 3 weeks ago, saying that this is the roadmap that will lead Eskom to work more efficiently. But I just want to throw to the part where he actually briefed the committee on SAA, saying SAA literally has no money as it stands.
As much as possible, we will encourage all of the parties, notwithstanding some difficulties that they had late into the night yesterday, to get back to the negotiating table. I've just been informed as I was walking to this room that all sides have agreed to a mediator. So a mediator will come into operation soon, today, and look at finding an amicable solution. The challenge that we have, Chair, is that we don't have as much cash as we need in SAA, or not we, but SAA doesn't have enough cash to possibly even pay salaries at the end of the month if we don't get this act going. So not only are people not going to get increases, they might not even get their salaries. Even if they agree to some kind of increase, there's no cash available now. So they'll have to come to some understanding about what is paid when, and when money is available to actually pay it as well.
Tammy, he also mentioned, of course, that the introduction of a mediator will somehow lead to an amicable solution between the unions, the workers, and, of course, SAA. But he remains, staunch in the view that SAA, of course, is one of the state-owned entities which are struggling in the country. In fact, a member of the Portfolio Committee jokingly asked how the minister is doing with all state-owned entities struggling as it is, especially in terms of corruption. Pravin also spoke about corruption, Tammy, saying that how it has now creeped into spaces where it shouldn't, and also obviously posing a threat to SOEs being run efficiently. He mentioned, of course, the appointment of the instances where he mentioned the alleged leaking of the wrong name of a new Eskom CEO, saying that it continues the cycle of corruption. And even though board members can be changed continuously, this somehow does not put an end to the cycle of corruption that we've seen at various state-owned entities here in South Africa.
Thank you very much, Athi. That's Athi Mtongana reporting to us live from Cape Town. Now, still staying with the Public Enterprises Minister, Minister Pravin Gordhan says that changing board members as well as management doesn't necessarily guarantee that corruption at state-owned enterprises will automatically come to an end. He says state capture has its tentacles in all of the state-owned enterprises.
State capture and corruption still has its tentacles in all of these entities. Because you change a board or you change a management team doesn't mean that you've eliminated corruption. Secondly, when corruption is allowed at the top, it becomes systemic at some level. So it becomes okay and acceptable to engage in certain times.